Today is part 2 of the Hoshikin Tosai Showa selection. We're a little bit behind schedule, admittedly. Been pretty busy here. Temperatures have dropped a hell of a lot. You might see it's pretty steamy and damp in here now because the heating's really kicked in. The fish have done incredibly well since the first video. We look back, they look pretty washed out. Since then, we've just been building the feed up slowly. You know, the water's been sat about 22 degrees. Been feeding every couple of hours, a mix of Saki Hikari colour and Saki Hikari growth, which has been a 50-50 mix on them, just to bring that colour up and get the fish looking a little bit something like. Been 1,000 pieces in the 3,500 gallon pond. We've had one net already. We have seemed to miss quite a few because they've been pretty active. But yeah, now basically going to go through, select out the fish that I'll be keeping to grow on and the fish that will then be prepared for sale very shortly. Now, one little thing to actually note with these tosai at this kind of age can be incredibly tricky. It's not been long since they've been out of the mud pond. It's a big transition, change in environment, and then they're shipped halfway around the world over here to the UK. Now, packing wasn't the best when these arrived. There was about 100 pieces in each box, which is quite normal. It was a big 90 centimetre box that we were using. But on arrival, for me, I was just a little bit concerned the ammonia in the bag had got to them a little bit. Although we did bring them round quite well in the first couple of weeks, about 2 weeks in, we did start with a slight little problem where a few of the fish were dying and a lot were actually starting to bloat quite heavily, which for me was, I believe it was down to the packing and sort of like a delayed outcome of that. Yeah, we did lose a bit of time there when we was sort of fighting with the fish to get that under control, various different methods that we used to get it under wraps. It's very hard to pinpoint because it's not something you can physically, check from mucus biopsy or anything like that. We was just working on pure instinct. There wasn't a magic one-stop solution either. We didn't get it right first time, but in the end, got them settled. And yeah, now they're looking great. They've grown well already, given the stocking level, and the colours come up nice. So today we're going to see a lot more of the patterns, and I think the fish taking shape. So yeah, that's that. I think we'll get right on with the selection now, and then towards the end of the video we'll take a closer look at both batches of fish, what's being kept, what's being sold, so you can see the difference and compare it against what you might have selected yourself. Three nets set up, which is going to be for the fish to be moved on, fish to keep, and then a net for the bigger fish as well. Now, across all of these videos, something I've mentioned every time is about these bigger fish out of the batch. These cause real problems when you're trying to push for maximum growth. It's only ever a small percentage, there's not a huge percentage in here, as you can see, but just look how much bigger they are, and there is a very simple reason for that. It's how dominant they are at feeding time. Nothing more complicated to it. So, in a pond like this, if we had, say, 5-10% of fish this size, they are really going to hold. The real small stuff like that, they're really going to hold back, but also they'll stop, the sort of mid-sized stuff from getting as far as they could do. So in this selection, we're just going to remove all the big ones straight away because we need a sort of average size to go back in the pond for the keepers. My eye pays a lot of attention to body. First of all, it's just the way I've always looked at fish, and then primarily the skin quality. It's all the two things that are really easy to see. Small Showa, especially this size, there's such a long way to go that we can't pay too much attention to the finer details yet. My eye, yes, admittedly, is paying attention to a lot of detail, but primarily I'm not looking at pattern. It's no good trying to focus on pattern because we can see from video 1 to now, they've all changed so much already, with Sumi sort of falling back as they've come from blackfish, the Benny patterns coming through. There's not a lot of Shiroji showing yet on any of them because they've not got the size. So yeah, such a long way to go that if you're looking at too much now, you're going to end up rejecting fish that could potentially become really good a little bit further down the line. You can see there's some, obviously like this one straight away, that's got quite a, or certainly one that fits into the short body craze that's been happening in Japan and Asia. that to me is a deformed fish. You know, whether people are choosing to collect them and like them or not is up to them, but they're not for me. So as well as the obviously the substantially bigger ones, we're also looking to remove anything that is really sort of substantially too small in regards to the fish that are going to be kept. So yeah, there's a few that just really aren't keeping up, and in that case, you know, there's no point putting them back in the pond. If it's really exceptional quality, possibly, but we're always going to know it's going to struggle because you know the rest of the pack's way beyond them. So just brought another sock into the bowl. It's going to speed the selection process up, so I can go through each fish one by one, and it's a simple yes or no. Big fish have been removed straight away again. So yeah, with the amount of fish to get through, we need to get a bit of speed on. Chance and time. I don't think enough koi keepers give fish time before they're sort of simply rejected or moved on, or just get too dismissive of it. It's always been a big thing in Japan. If you look at a lot of the things they get involved in, you know, patience is required, time's required, and they do well at it. Koi, bonsai, if you look at the old sort of sword making, things like that, you know, it all requires a lot of patience, and they do incredibly well at it. I think generally as a culture in Europe, we don't do well at it all, and that's where you can really miss out on some bargains, in my opinion, because you're looking for too much too soon. And I've always generalised with this comment, but it often is the case that, you know, with younger koi, the really pretty younger fish often make the lesser quality bigger fish, you know, because true quality really does take time. Coming back to that word again, you know, it's not there from day one. It's got a surface. Sumi, for example, you know, it takes time for good sumi to come up from deep in skin, and it's a process that we're talking, you know, anything from sort of 4, 5, 7, 8 years. It's a long time. There's just them ones every now and again, and I mean, looking at that now, the bone structure I can see, I'm really quite excited about. See, it's got a lovely head shape to it, nice height already, just really, really, you know, in proportion. But you can just see the difference in skin already. Look, the sumi, we've got nice sumi kiwa already. There's a good luster to it, good shine. The beni, again, you've got to forget this orangey sort of colour. That's not the true colour right now. It's just because of the age of the fish. But all I can see there is the thickness of the colour. You know, that's what's important right now. And yeah, I mean, let's face it, it's got quite a pleasing pattern already. Nice motoguro in the fins. Sumi pattern looks nice. That's, yeah, top piece so far, that one. Quite excited for that. So another piece that's just sort of stopped me in my tracks. Again, real standout, exciting quality on that one. You can see all the similar things as we've seen already. Real sort of thickness of sumi, refinement of sumi kiwa and sumi sashi in particular. You know, nice refinement of the beni, kiwa and sashi as well. Nice consistency of colour. Again, there's a lot going on with this right now. You're not seeing the beni in its purest form because there's so much, you can see there's so much sumi sat around it. There's just a small window in the middle of that where you can see some cleaner beni. That's not to say that, you know, what you're looking at there is going to dominate the fish. Sumi's not going to come through in that area in the slightest. Even this area where we're looking, and you've got the bluey colour, that is eventually, as this gets a bit bigger, just going to be shiroji. What we're seeing at the minute is all because of skin thickness, basically, which is something else you have to consider. This skin, especially the shiroji element of it, is not very thick at all. Neither is the beni. So what's going to happen is probably over the next few months in particular, as it gets bigger, gains more thickness, the true beni is going to basically mask over, and the true shiroji is going to mask over this underlying black that's basically in the fish. Remembering, you know, Showa all start the life black, this colour's basically sort of forming on top of it. Again, it's a process that takes time. But yeah, really excited by this one. You can see again on top of the qualities, there's a real sort of exciting beni pattern sat underneath. Nicely balanced sumi. It's, yeah, nice prospect. Very nice prospect. So yeah, selection's all done now. Pretty happy with the results. We've got a bit less than expected, to be honest with you, in the keep net. I think we've got literally 200 pieces pretty much bang on. Size, they've increased a fair bit already. I can't remember what they were exactly when we started this, but we're sitting at 15 to 18 centimetres now on average. And yeah, I'm happy with what we've got. There's a lot of nice prospects. So what I've got in the bowl right now, I've just had a quick pick from the net of the fish that are going to be growing on further, and I've got my 19 favourite fish so far, to be honest. Yeah, really happy with what I'm seeing here. They're pretty similar in style in a lot of ways, but then some quite different. The selection I've got, you can see the hue of the Benny is actually pretty consistent in what I've selected. There's a few more where it's a little bit more vibrant and a couple where it's slightly more dull, but consistently we can see there's good skin luster, and the sumi is looking particularly good on these, and the sort of strength and quality of it overall. So yeah, these 19 fish, I would probably suspect, you know, we'll be seeing a few of these at the very sort of end selection, you know, in about a year's time. A lot's going to happen between then. There's absolutely no guarantees. I've already said, you know, tosai can change a great deal and it can be very unpredictable, but these look promising. It's going to be nice to follow through this series as well. We'll keep track of them, so come the next selection we'll be able to easily identify these fish and see where they're at that particular point. The bodies are looking, you know, really well on these. You can see that the bone structures are pretty prominent. Again, even in here, you can see there's a couple sort of with the bigger bone structures and looking, you know, bigger than and stronger than the rest. And there is a couple that at the minute do look a bit smaller, although they have got chance to catch up. The actual bone structure itself looks all right, even though the body's a little bit smaller at the minute. So there's every chance for those fish. As they go back into the pond now, so the 3,500 gallon pond, 200 pieces is not enough from a production point of view to warrant leaving them in that pond alone. So I do have 1,000 pieces of Kohaku from Hoshikin as well. So what I'll actually be doing is introducing the best, probably 300 pieces from there in with these as well. Now, that's not something I would always typically choose to do because amongst the Gosanki varieties, you do get some difference in feeding behaviours and sort of growth rates and growth patterns. Showa, yes, typically heavy feeder, but Kohaku, especially in the case of Hoshikins, I'm pretty sure they're going to probably outgrow these probably at a faster rate. So that is one limiting factor, but like I said, it's a compromise I've got to make because I can't give a pond to both, and giving one of the big ponds up especially, I've got to know we're going to get some really good fish out of there at the end. So target number is 500 at this point, so I will need to add them Kohaku to make the operation viable, which is really important. So yeah, we'll take a closer look at some of these now. So just breaking these down, I'm going to show right now my sort of top 3 picks. This is only at this point, like I said, this is probably all going to change. So, but right now from what I'm seeing, these are my most exciting prospects. So the absolute best one for me is this fish sort of right here at the minute. Absolutely stunning little Showa. I love how it holds its body form. Really looking quite strong. It's got a lovely set head. You can really see a prominent mouth on it. The Benny quality looks good. Yes, it's quite orange at the minute. No two ways about that. But that's not an issue, like I said, because all I'm seeing at the minute is good colour thickness, and that's the most important thing. The hue of the colour is going to change over time anyway. What I'm also seeing here, obviously I love the sort of pectoral fins and the way it holds. The Motogoro looks superb already, but again, I can't get hung up on that because there's the chance by the time this is 45 centimetres, that won't be there, or it could have just shrunk right back at that point. The sumi pattern and sumi quality looks superb. We can see there's nice sumi kiwa, a really good sumi kiwa actually, and good sashi to it. Yeah, I just love the elegance. The patterns, again, it's important to talk about pattern. I really like the way the pattern's balanced across the body as well, to be honest with you. It is a more structured Showa. There is a strong Kohaku pattern to it, and the sumi really complements that. There's other areas, there's going to be big increased areas of shiroji to this fish, especially behind the head. where there is, I don't foresee any sumi filling in that space. Head pattern looks nice, you know, just everything about it. For me, just the minute I saw it, it really stands out, head and shoulders above the other fish. So it's going to be interesting to see where this one ends up. As for number 2, I can't help, again, you know, being so into sort of body shape as I am. This particular fish here, again, it's going to be more of a traditional sort of show, which I've had from Hoshikin in the past, and they're superb, but this has got a really sort of strong, prominent body, so I'm going to expecting this to be a real strong grower. Again, all the qualities are standing out really well. There is a lot of sumi at the minute. The quality of it's really good. Again, sumi ki was really good. Sumi sashes, you know, looking really clean. Again, looking at the whole sort of structure of the fish, bone structure is great, body's good. Love, again, the balance of the pectoral fins, sort of shape and how they sit. Motogoro, the signs of it, looking at that, I'm going to expect that to fall back as this fish is growing. I'd be surprised if it does stay there. Benny quality wise, again, we've got good skin luster, good shine, everything's looking nice. Going to get a lot more shiroji eventually show up in this fish. At the minute, we've got some of them sort of bluey areas of the skin, which when we get some skin thickness, that is going to become more prominent shiroji. And again, the pattern overall, really nice how it sits on the fish. Again, really quite structured. Not, you know, I'm a big fan of the sort of more unstructured Kindai Showa, but these are really looking good. So yeah, another really strong prospect in that fish there. And then number 3 for me, there's quite a few choices, to be honest with you, because the quality is quite close in here, but I think it's more through personal taste. This Kindai Showa really is, you know, my sort of style, where it's very unstructured. Benny pattern's not playing a big role here. They're very difficult with Benny, this sort of Showa, because there's so little of it. We've not got very much to read, so to be honest, there's as much chance of this becoming a Shirabutsori as there is a Kindai Showa over the next sort of couple of months. But as we're looking at it now, the Benny quality does look good. It's important to really study what Benny there is on a Kindai Showa like that, because, you know, trying to figure out if there is longevity in it. So what I'm looking at primarily is there to be some sashi. That's important because it's the colour, the elastic colour in the deeper layer of the skin. And yeah, refined ki, where we don't want to see colour really sort of breaking away at this age, which there are no signs of any of that. And there's a nice sort of soft sashy edge to it. The colour on the head is stronger than on the body, also important. And yeah, looking at the rest of it, what Benny pattern's there, we can see the sumi sort of where it's falling on the body and how that's going to complement the whole pattern and the whole balance of the fish overall. I've said in previous videos, you know, Showa is not about having a Kohaku pattern underneath. It's about the balance of 3 colours and the way the whole fish flows. And yeah, that looks pretty exciting for me. So yeah, that's you know, my pick. Just lastly on this one, again, I'm saying it's a Kindai Showa. There's not a lot of shiroji again showing at the minute, but again, it's just because of skin thickness. When that thickness comes, there are areas of this sort of like mid-body here where that will become prominent shiroji. The sumi actually on this fish is where you can see now the thicker, heavier areas. That won't go away. That's going to be the main pattern. It's the areas in between that will become the more prominent shiroji. So it's important to bear in mind that with young Showa. So yeah, that's my top 3. Let's see where that gets in a couple of months' time. So now we've got side by side a random selection from my keepers that are being grown on, and also a random selection of fish from the pond where they're going to be released for sale. Now, the reason I want to do this is A, for you to see the difference of what I'm selecting and what I'm looking for versus what I'm in essence rejecting, but also just to highlight a point for you to see with your own eyes, to be honest, which bowl you probably prefer, because it's not necessarily, as you'll see, there probably is a bit of a fine line in the difference in quality, in all honesty. And it's important to note that the bowl of fish that are released for sale are not by any means low quality fish. Yes, there's lower quality fish amongst the whole batch that's in there, those fish won't be sold by me. Those fish will just be rejected and given away, basically, because you know, we like to keep a consistent quality in what we're selling. Obviously, a lot of personal preference here plays its part. You know, I've got a vision in my head of what I'm expecting that fish to do, see, turn into. Sometimes it might just be that the fish in the batch for sale, you know, the body's just not quite strong enough for what I'm looking for from a growth perspective. That's not to say that that fish, you know, is not going to grow. It will still grow and probably be a fantastic fish in most ponds. We also need to appreciate, you know, throughout this hobby, there's levels, you know, and it's important that we get fish and the best fish possible at all levels to make it accessible. So, you know, in the bowl of fish for sale, there'll be a relatively, you know, low price point that's accessible to a lot of people. The batch of fish that I'm keeping, they start having to carry higher price tags because there's been a lot more invested in them, you know, a lot of expensive food. The environmental costs of keeping are a lot higher. And as we go, you know, there's 200 fish we're saying at the minute. By the next selection, that's probably going to half. I think it's important not just to be guided by what I'm saying, because like I say, even with koi breeders, I find this myself, you know, what koi breeders are looking for when they're selecting is not necessarily what I'm looking for or you're looking for. So in essence, yes, quality is quality. That's a line I've used many a times before. But like I say, it's a fine line. The space is limited as it is with breeders, so I can only keep what I think is going to be the very best. But even amongst the best ones we see here, there's possibly fish in this bowl that will become my top 1, 2 or 3 opposed to the others, you know, because there's only so much we can see at this point. Likewise, there's more than likely fish in the bowl of fish for sale that I might have made mistakes with because my eye's looking at something completely different, and someone will steal a bargain away in there. It's part of the fun of koi keeping, and it's part of this challenging yourself, to be honest with you. When you've got a batch of fish in front of you, you know, use what skills you've got, try and find out a fish you think is going to do something, grow it, raise it, learn from it. It's the best advice I can give you. But yeah, in a nutshell, sort of make your own mind up. I'm sure in both bowls you're probably seeing plenty of fish that you like. But for now, like I say, resources, we always have to balance it up. So the best ones will be released into the bigger pond, whereas the others will be put up for sale, say at very reasonable prices. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of great fish in there for people. Last up, we've got a really important part of the whole selection and growing process. It's one I've spoke about in the first part of the video. Now I've really got the sort of reality of it right in front of me. So yeah, what I've got here is a selection of the big fish out of the batch. The troublemakers, if you like, because keep repeating it, these things get bigger for a reason, and it's normally because they're dominating at feeding time. So out of the whole batch, let's say we're working with 1,000 pieces, there's around 90. So I mean, we're getting on for about 10%, almost just under, of the entire batch that is substantially bigger. Now these are measuring in at 18 to 23 cm at the biggest end, so it's a huge jump from the other batch that's the majority of the pond. Now the ones at 18 cm, yes, we've got an average size at 15 to 18 in the pond itself, but these ones at 18 are seeming to have a lot chunkier body, which is telling me again that they're getting a bigger share of the food. So when I was selecting these out, I just did it visually on each sort of, you know, bowl of fish. The ones that really stood out as being visually bigger were removed into a separate net. Raising fish and trying to get the most out of them, it's an incredibly important process. It's one that I learned way back when I was 16 now, and I was actually working out in Japan in the summertime, and my first experience culling. And yeah, we always had a separate net for the big fish, and I was amazed at how concerned the breeders were by these particular fish. And obviously, yeah, when you take them away, there's always a chance that some of them bigger ones are going to be good fish that want to be kept as well. So that's actually what happened in this instance. Like I say, was about 85, 90 fish altogether. And I have done a selection through them as well. Pretty much split them down the middle of ones that I would still want to raise potentially, or just better quality than the others. It's quite challenging because then it means, you know, we've got to work around pond space. Have we got another pond that we can keep those fish in? When I did it in Japan, the fish were simply moved to another mud pond where fish were of a similar size to those bigger ones, and they were released into there. In this instance, I've got to look, because we're talking 40 odd fish, I've not got a pond that warrants keeping those 40 odd fish in alone. So more than likely with these, I think I'm going to have the same issue with the Hoshikin Kohaku we've got to select through. So more than likely these will get put with the fish out of there that I've got the same issue with, and we'll balance it up that way. If you are, if you're raising fry in particular, or young fish in general, if you've got them ones that are seeming to just absolutely, fly out in front of the pack, you need to be really removing them from that environment to give the others the chance to thrive and get the very best from them. That's an important one to note. For now, that's sort of like the end of this selection time. The next one up is probably going to be, realistically, probably in about a couple of months, depending on how busy we are. And at that point, you're going to see a huge jump in these fish. So for now, thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll catch up with these again soon.